Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, my name is Nat. I've been a hairstylist for over 20 years and I love makeup. Thank you all so much for joining me. Today we're going to take a bit of a pause from my Declutter series because the Valentine's palette started rolling out already. I have my eye on a few of them, but today we're going to talk about the new Pinky Promise palette by BellaBeauteBar. It's the collab with the amazing Deandra Nicole. This is the sister palette to her previously curated ultraviolet palette. I also have that palette and it is amazing. And like usual, I purchased mine from ifeelbeautiful.ca. And just quickly reading a bit off their website, this palette is what Deandra has always craved from a pink palette as a person of color. Bold, bright, and with enough depth so as to not jump to another palette to resort to black. This is what the palette looks like. It has 8 buttery mattes, 6 multi-chromes, and 1 Holo-Chrome. This is the Holo-Chrome shade. I feel like it's been a minute since I attacked a palette, and I'm so excited to get back into it with this one. Hot pink / fuchsia is my favorite color. Let's get into some swatches. First up, we have I Swear. Look at this cute pink. We're just going to build it up with a second layer. There we go. Look at that pigment. Next, we have Sidekick. Ooh, look at this multi-chrome. Building it up again as well. Looks like a pink shimmer with blue reflex. Bond. Building it up again. A nice bright pink. Partner in Crime. Ooh, look at this shimmer. Next is Trustfall. Ooh. Wow. Look at that. Inside Joke. Vow. Just building this one up a little bit more. Other Half. Kismet. Soulmate. Oath. Better Half. This shimmer is a little bit more crumbly, but it's beautiful. Can you guys see that shift? Twin Flame. Oh wow, look at this bright hot pink. Promise Me. Ooh. Here's the Holo. And lastly, we have Platonic. And here are the shades of the Promise Me palette. In different lighting. Ooh. It's so pretty. I'm going to do 3 looks today using every single shade of this palette. For look number 1, let's start off with I Swear and Eyeshadow 04. Let's start off in my imaginary crease area. On my eye shape, it's basically at the base of my brow bone because I don't really have a crease. And we're just doing big windshield wiper motions to lay down this shade as a transition shade, like a background shade. Now let's go in with Trustfall and a Refer 01. Let's just pat it down in the outer corner. Wow. that is pigmented. I personally love pink eyeshadows, red eyeshadows. I also love a monochromatic palette sometimes. I like diversity in my eyeshadow palettes. So I like to have some that are intentionally monochromatic. I like to have some with a chaotic color story. I still love my neutrals. I just like to have a variety in my collection. And then we're going to gently blend this up into the crease area. Now let's deepen things up with Vow and Eyeshadow 00. Same thing, let's pat down some pigment in the outer corner. What about you guys? How do you feel about a pink palette or pink eyeshadow on your eyes? Dipping back in with a little bit more pigment, and I'm just using patting motions to really deepen up this outer corner. And as we get up to the brow bone area, I'm doing little circular motions just to get the edge blended. Back to the Eyeshadow 04 with no added pigment, just to soften out the edge. For this side, I think I'm going to dip into some more of the I Swear shade, that first softer pink that we put down, just to soften this hard line and make the outer corner, or make this outer portion a little bit more blown out looking. A little bit more diffused. And now I'm going back in with the Vow shade, the deepest matte that we've been using, just to pat in a little bit more pigment. And now I'm just taking a little bit of I Swear, the first matte pink that we laid down with a flat shader brush. So we can add this to this empty space. Alright, now let's add some shimmer. Let's start off with this shade, Partner in Crime, and just using my finger, let's pop that in the third of the eye. And for the inner third, let's use Sidekick. Going in with my index finger. Kind of just blending the two shimmers together. Just taking my silicone brush from Amazon to smooth out the edge. And now I'm just going back in with the Vow shade, the deepest matte that we're using, and patting it at the outer corner, at the edge of where the shimmer starts, and very gently using the tips of this brush to pull some of the deeper matte shade towards the inner third, just to create a bit of a background up here, some dimension. I just did this side of my face off camera so we can finish up this eye look. I'm going to go back in with the shade Vow and an E26 from ColourPop. Starting at the outer corner of the lower lash line, I'm just pushing in some pigment. I'm going to continue to stamp it along the lower lash line. And now let's take a flat shader brush with the shade I Swear, and we're just going to pop that at the front, at the beginning of the lower lash line. Back to the Holo-Chrome with a bit more of the I Swear shade, just so we can diffuse the edge of this eye look and lower lash line. I just did eyeliner and mascara off camera, and now we can move on to look number 2. Let's start off with the shade Bond and the Holo-Chrome. As usual, we're going to start off in the brow bone area. But for those of you that have a crease, this would be the crease shade, transition shade. So I think the idea about this palette is celebrating friendships, which I think is super special. Now let's go in with the shade Twin Flame in a slightly dirty River 01. We're just going to pat down some pigment in the outer corner. Wow. So yeah, as I was saying, besties are so special. My bestie and I have been best friends since grade 2. That's really pretty. I think with this look, I kind of want to keep everything a little bit tighter. That's my goal anyway. We'll see where this takes us. I just dipped into a bit more of the Twin Flame shade, and I'm pulling it across my lash line. Oh, I love hot pink. I just did some math quick in my head. I think that means that my bestie and I have been best friends for 39 years. That's absolutely something to be celebrated, I think. Alright, let's deepen things up with the shade Kismet and a Holo-Chrome. Same thing, let's push in some pigment right at the outer corner. Ooh. This side, I don't know if you guys can tell, this side is a little bit more of warmer pinks compared to this side. This side's a little bit more cool toned. I just dipped into the shade Bond with the Holo-Chrome, and we're going to add that back to the top of this eye look. And now for shimmer, let's start off with the shade Better Half and Just My Finger. And let's just pop that at the outer third. Ooh, pretty. And for the inner third, let's try Inside Joke and Just My Finger. Let's just pop that right in the inner third area. Ooh. My nails are getting kind of long. I'm getting my nails done in a couple of days. I have to push my appointment back so that my appointments line up with our upcoming trip to Japan. I'm just taking my silicone brush with a bit more of Inside Joke, just to be able to get it in this spot with a little bit more precision. And now I'm taking my Holo-Chrome with a bit more of the Kismet shade so we can add the depth back to the outer corner and blend in where the shimmer starts. Alright, I just did the rest of my face off camera so we can finish up this eye look. Let's go back in with the shade Kismet and an E26 from ColourPop. We're just going to stamp it at the corner, the outside edge of the lower lash line. Flat shader brush with the shade Bond. We're just putting that at the beginning of the lower lash line. Back to the Holo-Chrome with the same shade Bond so we can diffuse the edges. And blend out this inner corner or inner third of the lower lash line. Alright, same thing. I just did eyeliner and mascara off camera, and here are the final looks for look number 1 and 2. Let me come in close to show you guys. And different lighting. I'll be right back with look number 3. For look number 3, let's start off with the shade Bond again and a Holo-Chrome. We're using this shade as our transition shade again. And we're just keeping it just below the brow bone, or right where the brow bone starts. Or for those of you who actually have a crease, it would be just slightly above your crease and still at the base of the brow bone. Next, let's go in with the shade Oath and a 203 from BK Beauty. I'm just going to push it in right at the outer corner because we are doing halo eyes. And as we get to the base of the brow bone, let's use tiny circular motions to blend it in to the Bond shade. And now I'm taking an EO1 from Singe Beauty with the same shade Oath. And just pushing it into this inner third, inner corner spot. Back to the Holo-Chrome with the shade Bond, just so we can diffuse some edges. Let's deepen things up even further with the shade Platonic and an EO4 from Singe Beauty. Starting at the outer corner, closest to the lash line, we're going to repeat the same kind of steps where we're just pushing in some pigment. But I don't want this deeper tone to take over the other shades that we've laid down already. we're kind of just keeping it on the inside of the Oath shade. And then some wiggling to blend out the edges. I'm just going back in with a little bit more of the Oath shade and the EO1 from Singe Beauty, just to blend this edge, this side of it. Like that. I'm using barely any pressure just to soften out this edge. Now let's try an E10 from Singe Beauty, same shade Platonic, just for the inner third spot, the inner corner. I'm just doing some gentle dabbing. Switching to a clean 209 from BK Beauty, just so I can get in here, into this inner corner spot, to do some more blending. Now for shimmers, we're actually going to use 3 shimmers in this eye look. And first, we're going to start off with the shade Soulmate and just my silicone brush from Amazon. I'm using this more for precision because I just want to get it right at the edge. And now we're adding it to the inside. And now we're going to use the shade Other Half. And we're just going to carefully place that just at the edge of the other shimmer. Same thing on this edge. Just so there's a slight gradient of the deepest shimmer, the Soulmate shade, just as we transition into the Spotlight shade, which is going to be the holographic shimmer. That holographic shimmer is Promise Me. And we're just going in with my finger. And as we get to the top of the eye look, we're just going to scatter it. Look at that. And now I'm just going back in with the Platonic shade and the EO4 from Singe Beauty to add the depth back to the outside edge. Kind of blend in where the shimmer starts. And using the same brush, I wonder if this is too big, but let's try it. Just slightly, oh, that's okay. Adding some more of the Platonic shade to the inner corner, just to bring the depth and intensity back. I'm switching back to the Shoto 03 with no added pigment, just to diffuse the edges some more. Alright, now that the rest of my face is done, we can finish up this eye look. Let's go back in with the shade Platonic and an EO4 from Singe Beauty. Starting at the outer corner of the lower lash line, let's just stamp in some pigment. Gently pull it across. Flat shader brush with the Bond shade. Just for the beginning of the lower lash line. And then now the Shoto 03 with the Bond shade, just to diffuse the edge of this lower lash line. I just did eyeliner, mascara, and I added a half lash off camera. So here's the final look for look number 3. Let me come in close to show you guys. And different lighting. If you're a pink eyeshadow lover like myself, this palette is incredible. A lot of people's response to it was that there's too many shades that are the same, but I disagree. The tones of the mattes are different. You can create cool pink eye looks or warm pink eye looks, or even this shade is a bit of a deeper berry. There are options to create different pink eyeshadow looks with this palette. All of the shimmers reflect different tones, and you even get a variety of finishes with the shimmers. These two are a little bit flakier or chunkier. I don't mind. I like to have options. And yeah, I think the rest of the shimmers are different enough where you can create a variety of eye looks. I think Deandra Nicole created another outstanding monochromatic palette. I appreciate her artistry so much. I think I forgot to mention earlier that this palette retails for $72 American, or if you're Canadian like me, it's $102. Like I've said before, pinks are my absolute favorite, so I'm super happy to kick off this year's indie brand journey with a pink palette. And that wraps up this video. Thank you all so much for taking time out of your day to hang out with me. I appreciate you all so much, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, or if it's nighttime for you, I hope you get a good night's rest. I'll see you next time.
Oh, ha, ha.